Not the Footy Show.
Playing those mind games, but he sums that one up with absolute perfection.
So right now we do have to do the build-up for Reece Martin. I'm sorry, Reece. He's kicked 40 in a row. He hasn't missed a shot. I think it was against Castleford. It was 9th of July. He last missed a shot.
It's a long time. Come on, Reece. You can get this, pal. An old Bulldogs teammate of mine.
So in all those shots, he's now got his biggest to get his side to 18 all. With 11 and a bit to go. An entire nation on his shoulders for this kick. Reece Martin with a moment. Bang it over, son. See what you can do. A couple of minutes in from touch. Martin with the kick. It is never in doubt. You'd want him kicking for your life. Reece Martin, 41 in a row. He might miss one until next July.
What about that, Bossy? We have got a game on our hands here. We said pre-game, this could be the game of the groups, and it's living up to the hype.
G'day everyone, welcome to episode 268 of Not the Footy Show. I'm Warrick Nicolson, that's Rob Cox. Two podcasts in the same day. Cocksmith,
yeah,
there must be a World Cup happening. That's the only reason we're doing this.
The kings of content, mate. We just keep pumping it out.
Yes.
Like all the good stuff.
Pumping
it out.
All I'm hearing is, I can't believe he did 2 episodes in a day for the second time. Are you guys really that bored? And it was like, yes we are.
Yeah.
This is the World Cup wrap for week 1. It is good to have more footy around. And it's different footy, Cocksmith, isn't it?
It is different footy, mate. I enjoy it. I like it. It's a little freer. I mean, I've got to take you to task over something that you did put on social media, though. You honestly think that the 2004 Roosters jerseys are better than every other World Cup jersey?
The French jersey at this World Cup, until I saw the Tongan one last night, which was pretty good. I love it. I love the white, with the little V of the blue and
with the red, white, and blue V.
Yeah, I love it. I loved it.
It's a Roosters jersey from the early 2000s.
No, this is better than the Roosters jersey. This one looked good.
Okay,
it was clean. It was clean, Cocksmith. That's why I liked it.
Yeah. Well, look, I do like the football. I'll tell you now. I like seeing. I know that we all kind of had a little moan and complain, and I'm still not totally over that, about some players going off and playing for minnow countries when they probably would have been offered a spot with Australia. But in one way, in one respect, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool seeing Lachlan Ilias line up for Greece, for example.
Fantastic.
Mitchell Moses had a mighty game the other night, and I don't say that very often about Mitchell.
No, with you, 100%.
But with the Lebanon team, he grew another leg. He played a great game. Adam Dwayhe, maybe not so much, but
he's good for 58 minutes. Don't know what he did for the last 22.
Right up until the 58th minute, he was good, and then I think he may have got under Grant Atkins' skin. And let me tell you, Grant Atkins has been lambasted all across
lambasted or lambasted?
Basted because he sent him off. Well, I say good on you, Grant Atkins. Yeah. I think if a player starts to talk in an aggressive foul term or a foul demeaning way, he's got to go. He's got to show respect for the referee, and you're never going to win by speaking to them like that. So silly move that I'm sure Adam will learn something from. But I'm with you, mate. Rugby League World Cup, I'm a fan.
It's a refreshing change from the same we get from NRL week in, week out. It really is. And if you've watched, I watched the best part of probably 75% of the games and highlights of the others. And it's just, it's a style of footy that you can just move in and have a look at and move back out and enjoy it and not be hung up on the result and what it means for the end of the season. Even the teams that they probably need to win this first World Cup game and they probably can't make the quarters now, it doesn't matter. They're just playing the World Cup. They're stoked to be there. And it's exhibited in the way that the games are being played. And there's a few things that come out of it that I really enjoy. And we saw, I'll give you the results in a second, but the game this morning, PNG and Tonga, just a really good test match game of rugby league. And there was an element to it that underscores what I'm talking about, how it's not the same old NRL. In the first half, the ref gave, I think it was 3 penalties for clear obstructions as they happened.
Right.
And they didn't let the play go on and score tries or anything like that. He just said, no, you've obstructed the player. You've run a decoy and he's taken the guy out and that's a penalty. And I'm thinking, it's those elements that rugby league in Australia has killed us from a enjoying the moment point of view, because we see these things happen week in, week out, and we just know that the referee is going to follow his process and let the ball get to the guy who's going to score the try, and he'll put it down and they'll send it upstairs and rely on the all-powerful bunker to get it right. We know they don't necessarily do that. Instead, the ref's just gone, no, I saw an obstruction. There's a penalty. And it was funny watching the reactions of the players, because there's a lot of NRL players in the Tongan squad especially, and they're the ones that got pinged a few times. I'm like, this is how it should be. And there was even moments where there were sort of semi-crushes, or it was maybe a little bit of a high tackle, and a few of the NRL players that we've seen in the NRL stay down for the penalty. It's like something clicked in the back of their head. They'd stay down for half a second and they went, oh, hang on. The bunker's not like the bunker back home. I better get up and play the ball. It's fantastic, Cocksmith. And that's permeating through the whole of the football that we're seeing, is that teams are just going, oh, let's play some rugby league, which is what... All right, we're back. It sounds like the bunker got into my stream and didn't like me slagging it off, so they cut me off mid complaint or enjoyment or whatever it was right there.
Yeah.
No try, apparently.
Yeah, hold up the play there.
Yeah, they're supporting the on-field decision of
mate. Look, I agree with you in a way. When you think about it, speaking of analysis, we analyse everything to the nth degree in rugby league now. There is no feel, and I know this sounds old, but there's no feel for the game anymore by the refs, because, like you say, they're almost like robots in that they'll stand there and they'll wait and then say, okay, let's look at that in slow motion. I don't know, but that's turning it into a really good spectacle for TV. I mean, you can slow anything down to, milliseconds and stuff like that, but it is nice that these referees, for the most part, are really having a go at making decisions in real time.
100%.
And as long as the broadcast partner gets on board and doesn't keep going back and going over and over and over,
and they're not Cocksmith. The commentary has been a breath of fresh air. And I'll get to Voss in a sec, because I think he's been outstanding. And the simple fact is, he's free of the Fox formula.
Yeah,
he really is.
Yeah, I when a broadcast partner is on board and doesn't keep pinpointing mistakes that officials make, and I think it's okay to talk about them, but when you keep replaying them over and over again and making the officials look stupid, we're all humans. We all make mistakes. Players make mistakes every game. They drop balls, they kick them out on the full, they do all sorts of things. These referees need to be given a little bit more freedom, I think, the ones that we've got, the NRL ones. And as long as they're getting a feel for the game, they'll get better and better. They'll let some things slide, but they'll also pick up some things in real time.
There's a bunch over there right now, and I think they're going to benefit from this non-intrusive style of rugby league. I wanted to talk about the games. I'm going to quickly go through the results, because this is a wrap, so I guess theoretically you don't know the results. I love that idea. 6-6, Samoa get absolutely belted in the opener. We'll come to that game again, because who's your daddy, Jerome? Australia 42-8 over Fiji. Italy beat Scotland 28-4 in the first of the upsets. Ireland, led by Luke Keary, smashed Jamaica 48-2. New Zealand, led by Joey Manu. How good is he? Beat a very spirited Lebanon 34-12. France beat Greece 34-12 in a performance that, if you haven't seen it, people, France aren't terrible. They play good rugby league, and Greece had some players there that could have worried them. And France did a number on 34-12, and then this morning 24-18, Tonga over PNG. I hate to go all Matt Thompson on you, Cocksmith, but it's the greatest World Cup opener I've ever seen. It's just the greatest game I think of all time. What a test match!
I thought we were going to have a Thompson-free week. Look, I don't know if it's the greatest rugby league I've seen, but it's definitely entertaining, and definitely easy to watch.
Yes,
and I'll definitely be watching more, which is what you want out of your fans, spectators, viewers, whatever you want to call us. Surprisingly, I'm surprised as well about how good France were. I'm also pretty surprised about how good Lebanon were, or maybe how not good the Kiwis were.
My view on that
I don't
was
know.
they didn't.
Which way do you go?
They didn't. No, New Zealand didn't have to get out of a canter. To be fair to them, they didn't have to really do much to get the win, and the scoreline never really blew out to an extent that you maybe thought New Zealand could have been putting on them, but they were never really threatened. I didn't think. And Lebanon had a crack. You said it before. Mitch Moses had a real dig. That's the Mitch Moses I want to see every week if I'm Parramatta.
Well, he wasn't the only one that had a crack, mate. He and his countrymen were really having a go. Mate, I don't know how many scouts are over there at the moment, but I think there could be worse places you could be to find some football talent, because there's some legit players from overseas that could play. Or could be shaped into NRL players.
We saw that this morning. Edwin Ipape, the hooker for the PNG. He's playing for Lee Centurions. I didn't know this. So he's on that team of Ferguson and co, all the expats. And he carved up this morning. And the thing I love about PNG, and I've loved it since the early 90s, I remember watching them get trampled by Australia. But the one thing that PNG do better than anybody in World Rugby League, do you know what that is?
No.
They hit people harder in every tackle than any other team. They smash them. There is going to be some very sore Tongan boys.
Some ribs.
This morning.
Flared up ribs.
Because they got belted. And they had a forward pack. Can I just read you the forward pack for Tonga? This is the team that they put out in the park. They had Fanua Blake, Kalama-Tangi at hooker because Havili was injured. Tavita Totola, Felice Kafusi, Ola Kawatu, and Taukiaho was the starting pack. The bench, as Vossi said, 3 Origin players. Talakai, Fotuwaker, and Dave Fafita. Sonny Luke was the utility interchange. That's incredibly... That's a lot of quality right there. And the thing I want to say about Tonga, honestly, apart from a couple of them, but most of them looked really, really fit, which is a stark difference to what we saw from Samoa in the other game. They did not look fit. And I don't know, maybe the coaching staff. Christian Wolf's the guy taken over at Redcliffe, remember, for Uncle Benny after a year. Maybe he's turned around to his players and said, you know what, boys, if you really give this a crack, talent's not going to get us to the semi-finals. But if we're fit and we can stay in games, because that's why they won this match. If you look at the try that decides the game, it's Tonga stays alive. They just keep the ball alive, keep moving it around, and they get a try and win the game in the last couple of minutes after just a really quality game of footy. I love PNG's physicality. I love the fact that they've got a few players that just have an absolute... They just love getting into the contest. They just got beaten in the end by a team that just had enough. And that's why I was oohing and ahhing between Tonga and Samoa in the last pod was, who have I got going through to the final? I'm not declaring Tonga are there by any stretch because I don't think they use their backline at all well in this game. But that forward pack is quality if they can get Havili fit.
I know. Look, talking about Christian Wolf, it's not controversial enough for me. Let's go back to Matt Parrish with Samoa, because the knives have been out for Parrish, and I don't think it's from Ray Hadley's camp either. I think it's people are lining up to stick it into Parrish. And from what I understand, a few of the Samoan players a couple of years ago signed a petition saying they didn't want to play under a team.
There was something floating around back then.
There's a bit of controversy there, isn't there?
Controversy.
I mean, there's something. Where there's smoke, there's fire. We know that. Maybe we should leave that for the next Recruitment Whisperers. But hats off to Tonga, mate. Being fit after most of them are playing NRL this year. Being fit after a season is a pretty big effort to
is.
maintain that fitness. And in other news, did you know that Sonny Luke is about 26 years old?
Yeah, I knew he was
Yeah.
old. He's not no junior kid, mate. That's why
I never
when
knew
you
that.
said the other week that Penrith are going to bring him through, I'm thinking he's not 20 years old.
Mm.
Yeah, I knew he was a bit older.
But on the PNG side, mate, do you know what a kummel is? Do you know what a kummel is?
I thought it was just the nickname for him.
Yeah, but what is it? I mean, we know what a raider
Are
is.
you
We know what an
hang on,
eel
are you
is.
about to tell me what it is, or are you?
No, I have no
want me to
idea.
Google
Is it a bird? Is it a
bird.
plane?
It's the bird.
kummel?
It's the bird on the flag.
What kind of bird is it? Can you describe it?
Yeah, it's a bird of paradise, also known as the Count Ragai's bird of paradise. It's a large bird in the bird of paradise family Paradiseidae. It's widely distributed in the southern and northeastern parts of New Guinea, where its name is kummel.
I feel smarter now, mate. Thank you
It
for
is
that.
also known as Senda Awashi.
Don't even try, mate. You and Pacifica names should
I'm
never
trying,
meet.
people.
Should never.
Oasa Famasili. I've got that one right before.
Stick to what you're good at, mate. Okay,
Oh.
don't go near.
I was
the
watching
Pacifica
Tino
names.
in the game, and I'm just going. I'm trying. There is something, and I can feel it in my tongue as I get to the combination of the vowels at the end, and I just can't. I had problems, just to give people backdrop here, and if my flatmate ever listens to it, he'll remember this one. But I could never say Yevgeny Kafelnikov. It was my white whale. I could not get it out, and so they nicknamed me Yevgeny for like about 5 years because I just could not say his name. So sometimes it's just physically you can't put the tongue in both spot.
What about Tino's surname? Can you say that? Go on, have a go.
Maluawi. See, it doesn't. I'm trying.
You're not trying. Let's move on to our next segment. You've offended everyone.
I have not. They know I'm trying. The effort is there. Let's go to England and Samoa in the opener. It's about a week ago now, but 10 tries to 1, Cocksmith. And the scariest part about this performance is that the fourth try, it was scored in the 66th minute. Yep. And they lost 60-6, buddy.
Yep.
That's in a tournament like this, you can't say someone's out because they actually can get to the next stage. It's still what's going to happen. They've got a couple of games coming up. But what's going through the Super Samoan team's minds right now? Because they would have entered this on a massive high. Good bulk of their players played for Penrith. We're going to go. They banded together. We're going to go win this World Cup. We're going to put our best foot forward, and they get absolutely crushed by England, who we, hands in our hearts and hands up in the air, we got them completely wrong because we said they weren't even worth previewing.
Yep.
Playing in the centres, he's been playing second row this year. Oh, Williams has made the run. Gets the support on the inside. Wellesby's over for the first try in this World Cup. Listen to the noise now. Newcastle finds its voice. England find a little bit of magic. You're likely to play Tonga in the quarterfinals. Oh, what a ball! Brilliant ball. Dom Young's on his way. Cuts on the inside. This is spectacular. Absolutely spectacular. England are on a roll. First it was Wellesby. Now it's Young. A debut try. Radley spinning it left. Burgess. Tom Burgess. How long is that list of try scorers now? Burgess over. England up to 58. This is amazing.
Off the Footy show.
What are you thinking right now? Because I'm going, yeah.
I'll tell you what the Samoans might be thinking. They might be thinking that they should have followed Nathan to the green and gold, mate, because it doesn't look good for them. Like you say, fourth try was scored in the 66th minute, and then in the space of 14 minutes,
fifth try, but still.
Then in the space of 14 minutes, they had another 5 tries put on them.
Yeah.
It doesn't bode well for those guys, mate. I think they didn't look all that fit. They didn't look like they were really digging in for each other, which is what they promised before they went there, because they were going to do it for Samoa, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
The likes of To'o and Luai and Tapau and these guys all wanted to play for Samoa. But something didn't compute because, England came down and, to coin a phrase, pulled their pants down and embarrassed them, really. I mean, that's embarrassing for Samoa. It's not what they want. And it's probably been a really, really good confidence boost to the Poms. So I don't know who does Samoa play next? Do you have the draw?
Yes.
In front of you?
They're in the same group as obviously England, France, and Greece. And the next game up is England are playing France and Samoa are playing Greece. So they have to win this game and they have to put a number on them. Because
they have to. Yeah,
here's the issue.
Do.
Here's the issue if you're Samoa, is you've lost this game and you've lost it by 54 points. Okay? Not good. In the World Cup, in the pool games, there is no extra time, Cocksmith. There is no golden point. So it's conceivable that Samoa beat Greece and England beats France. But France are plus 22. Samoa are minus 54. A draw will not be good enough, potentially, for Samoa against France to make the quarterfinals.
That's I'll tell you what, that will spell the end of Parish's stay if they don't make the top two.
Hang on. Have we even said they've beaten Greece yet?
No, they'll beat Greece.
Yeah.
They'll beat Greece. Greece is the word, my friend. They will beat Greece, and I'd say that they, like you said, they'll have to put a number on them. France will get beaten by the Poms. That's who they're playing, right?
That's who they're playing, but I like France. I mean, just like their jersey, I like the Poms as well.
Liked their jerseys. Come on, mate. The Poms will beat France, and so they'll lose a little bit of their deficit, or a bit of their their points build up. But you're right, mate.
It's 70 odd points at the moment. The difference.
I know it is. So let's pretend that we know what we're talking about, and the Poms beat France by 16.
Yeah.
Right. France will go back to plus 8.
6. Yeah, plus 6.
Plus 6, sorry. And for the Samoans to get to plus 6, how much have they got to beat?
They're cactus. There's just
how much have they got to beat them by?
They got to win by 60. They're not beating Greece by 60.
I don't know. But all I know is that we very much could be talking about Matt Parish in the Recruitment Whisperers come next episode or two.
Jerome Luai, just you invite, that old saying that Gus loves, you hit the ball bounce, you invite disappointment into your life. Well, if you keep telling people that, you're not arrogant.
You're their daddy.
You're just their daddy. Well, you invite disappointment into your life because you just we like you, Jerome, but we just don't like other things that you do. I'm just like,
I do like Jerome. I even like the way he plays. I like, and I like that he's a little bit cocky. But the big problem is, and it's always been the same. If you talk the talk, you got to walk the walk.
Yeah.
And if your team just gets pounded by the Poms, who we wouldn't even do an intro or a review of, you're cactus, mate. You look like dog doo-doo. Yep. Don't do that. Just keep your mouth shut. Yep. And play football, please.
Not that hard.
Until you get Nathan back next to you. Anyway,
there was a moment in that, I'm not sure which try it was, but Luai was at marker and England went down the short side and scored. You've seen the replay. This is the thing about Luai that I don't like, is that he's got that little bit of, not dirty's not the right word. It's he likes to pull off the stuff that you kind of don't really see in the middle of the highlight. It's off the ball a little bit. He'll niggle here and he'll do a little bit of something here. And he was at marker and he took the dummy half out. Instead of stopping the dummy half and then trying to backtrack as cover defence on a short side, he lifted the bloke up and tried to bash him on the ground. And you look at the replay, and if he just harassed the dummy half and then moved off and tried to shut down the numbers, he may have made a difference. But because he tried to do the big hit and, the big WWE slam, there was a massive amount of space behind the ruck and they went through there and slipped over and basically untouched. Just little things, Jerome. Just little things.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I agree. Just take that little bit of crap out of your game and better things may happen.
Indeed. The England team just really good. Now back it up. And you've got France, which will be a really good test because France did a number on Greece where they just pounded the middle of the field and they wore out the Greece pack in about 10 minutes. And after that, it was pretty much all over. The thing about Greece, I will say, is that they played some pretty enterprising football in the last 15 minutes. And my thing is, you're entering a World Cup for the first time. You ain't going to win games by trying to grind teams. Sorry, you're just not. Have a crack. Play some footy. What's the worst that can happen?
The last try was a good one.
Yeah.
I like that.
I loved it. Okay, so that's that group. So England way out in front. France on 1 win as well. Greece and Samoa winless.
You can't complain with what Fiji and on that, oh dear, Josh O'Connor, they've released him into space, he's got support from Munster, he may not need him, Josh O'Connor hits the afterburners for Australia, what a length of the field reply that is, and Josh O'Connor rips his way through the Fiji cover.
Australia, we haven't even got to, and people will never be able to complain of us being an Australian-centric show, but we're really good, Cocksmith, and we're about to change our team, like 80% of our team for the next game against.
To an even better batch.
Very quickly, what were your thoughts on Australia's performance against Fiji?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty workmanlike, mate. There was. People are going to not believe me, but I genuinely don't think DCE had a great game.
Yep.
I think he looked clunky. I think he looked like a 33-year-old playing Test football. Father Time is starting to catch up with DCE a little bit, I think, in certain areas. And I think this year might have been a good year for him to have an off-season. When you get a bit older, you need those breaks, But fair play to him. He has been, he's been a very, very good representative player for a long time, and he is the incumbent halfback. And I guess he's probably hoping that Nathan has a bit of a clunky game this week as well. So, but overall, I think the team played really well. I liked what Harry Grant did. I think Harry Grant had a really good game. I think he's starting to, metamorphose himself into a senior player, and he's coming along really well.
Tino was outstanding in the first 20 minutes.
Tino was very good, even though next year he's playing for Samoa. And I believe that Munster was really good as well. Latrell was good.
Latrell was good. Josh Adokar did what Josh Adokar does.
What's your take on? There's been a little bit of chatter this week on the socials about Brad Fittler leaving Adokar out of the State of Origin team. What's your take on that? If
anybody has watched those 2 games we lost in Origin, if you're honestly telling me that if Adokar plays, we win the series, you're on drugs.
What kind of drugs? What, opiates or
I don't know,
downers,
whatever you want,
uppers,
in betweeners? He wouldn't have been the difference in the series. I'm sorry, he wouldn't have been. The difference in the series is, and I'm not bashing here, but if Nathan Cleary plays to a higher level in that series, we win that series. He does.
I'm not going to put it all at his feet. I definitely lay a bit of percentage of blame on him, and I know we're not talking about that right now, but I think the forwards folded a little bit when they shouldn't have in certain areas. But that aside, I agree with you. I don't think Adokar would have made an ounce of difference. I wanted to say something else, but I'm not allowed to say it. I don't think he would have made an ounce of difference. And I'm not saying that everyone out there is a drug addict like you just did. You labelled them. But I do agree that if you think that Adokar would have made a difference, you probably own an ice pipe. That's all I'm going to say with that.
Yeah. From the freezer is what you mean, don't you? Italy beat Scotland. And the interesting part about what we're saying in regards to the for and against, Fiji minus 34, Italy plus 24. I don't expect Fiji to have any problems beating Italy or Scotland, but they're not as strong this tournament, Fiji, as what they were. I'm just heralding here. They gave Australia their best crack the other night.
Yep.
And they came up short and got done by 34 points. That minus 34 could be telling at the end of the day.
New Zealand seem to have clicked into another gear now.
This is the sort of play they got going in the first half. And Alier has pulled them up. Chip over the top. It's Manu again. He's got the ball back again. Joey Manu. Stop the fight. What a play. Joseph Manu. Forget Ronaldo at Minute United. Who's he? Joey Manu's putting on the best show in the UK today. He's the best footballer here right now.
What have we just seen?
Group C, New Zealand, Joey Manu. How good is he? He's just a joy. He's a little bit of a hog, though, Cocksmith. I'm going to say it. He really is. He loves stepping back off the foot and ignoring his guys on his outside. A little bit too much for my liking, as great as he is.
Well, that's why number 1 suits him better than number 6, I think. Most number 1s are hogs.
Teddy does the same thing, to be fair. Teddy does the same thing.
Yeah, Teddy does the same thing. Billy Slater used to do the same thing.
Yep.
The number 1s are the biggest hogs in the team.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a junior football team that you're coaching, you've got a kid that's real good but a real hog, stick him at number 1.
Yep.
Then he'll get away with it. But yeah, you're right. Manu's a hog. What's happened to Jerome Hughes?
He had
Jerome?
I think they said thigh, so it could be that quad problem that he had at the end of the year. Potentially. Right. Needs to be back for him, though. I know I pushed the Kieran Foran case. I'm not pushing it anymore. He looked a little bit slow the other night, to be fair. And Dylan Brown stays at...
Hold on. What did I say? What did I say?
Didn't listen to the show again. I don't listen to the show. Just do it live, off the cuff. But New Zealand, very good. Their forward pack, very handy. And they just did what they had to do to beat a Lebanon team, as we said, that really had a crack. And we asked this question. It didn't come up on the Recruitment Whisperers earlier, but you did float the idea that, if you're looking at talent scouts of any clubs, looking at players, I did send you the message. Is Josh Mansour going to be able to turn the next 2 matches he plays for Lebanon into a NRL contract for next year, or is it over for young Joshy or old Joshy?
You know how I mentioned Ice Pipe before?
Oh.
Mate, no, who's going to sign Josh? Josh is a great player. He played Origin. He did lots of really great things, and I'm so glad to see him running around at the World Cup having a go. But maybe Hook Griffin will sign him. Maybe he will. Maybe there'll be another parting gift for the administrators to work out later on. No, I don't think he's going to turn it into an NRL contract, mate. Would you like him at the Raiders?
If he was on, we tried to sign him a number of years ago. Ricky, give him a call.
No, but would you like him now? Would you like him to be maybe taking up 150, 200 grand of your salary cap?
Not that much. Come on for match payments.
You can't sign him for less than 100 grand.
I'm just saying. I wouldn't hate it. There you go. I wouldn't hate it.
Okay.
Right, Ireland, Luke Keary, when he gets a chance to play touch footy, wow, he's a gun. And that's what he did in the game against Jamaica. So the big match in this group will be Ireland and Lebanon for that second spot, because New Zealand will run the table there. And then we talked about before that Tonga are now at the top of Group D with Papua New Guinea nipping at their heels. We have Cook Islands and Wales to play overnight after we record this podcast. Anything else that's come to your mind as we think about the fact that week 2 will come in? We'll have the similar situation where all the games we played pretty much, I think it's 2 games over the weekend and then every other day. Do you like the format? We're having to watch the games in the morning during the week here, which I don't mind. I just got to keep remembering to wake up in time for the first half, because I've had to watch the last couple of games. Like, I've been half an hour behind. So I've had to turn off all my notifications off the phone so that no one doesn't
spoil it.
Spoil it for me.
Well, look, the truth be known, I haven't watched a game live yet. I generally wait a couple of hours and rewatch it. Fox just keep playing it all day. So,
mate, the scheduling team over there, gee whiz, they've got the easiest job alive. I cannot understand what they're doing over there. They've got a 24-hour league channel, and it's the same thing every 2 seconds. You've got an audience that is probably still in footy mode, and you're not feeding them. Someone explain this to me. It's crazy.
Yeah, are they doing their panel show from Australia? They are, aren't they?
I couldn't tell you.
But Brandy's not over there, is he? Brandy's not over there.
No, he isn't, because Vossy, and this is probably the last point of the whole pod, Vossy's doing commentary over there when they do their radio show. I think I saw a tweet saying that Brandy will be in Sydney and Vossy will be overseas.
Right.
Should we finish up on... Sorry, go.
So Brandy and Yvonne and
did they do a show?
Braith, yeah.
Oh, okay.
They're in Australia.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
That could be the only bit of unique content they've produced. Let's bring it home with the fact that Vossy sans the confines or the constrictions of the Fox formula is back to the Vossy that I really enjoy. He has been great to listen to. He had Robbie Paul in the first game he did, which I think was the New Zealand-Lebanon game. And then this morning he did the game with James Graham, the PNG Tonga game. The dude's just got it. When he's not having to hype train it and set the narrative, which is what Fox love, he just has it. He does what he has to do, and when it's time for the co-commentator to speak, he lets them speak and he works off what they say. It's not a case of we must make this point that we made at the start of the show and we must keep making it and making it and making it. And hats off to you, Vossy. You're doing a great job.
Look, Vossy's been around the traps a long time. You know, he knows how to make a manoeuvre. And I wouldn't be surprised if he sees the soft underbelly at Channel 9, his former home. And he may be making a move on Matt Thompson's ground. He may see that Channel 9 are struggling a little bit for a lead commentator.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, and I agree.
And I'll tell you what, if Vossy took what he's been doing right now into Channel 9, I don't think they could say no.
Great.
I don't think they're looking for a Ray Warren substitute, and they haven't found him yet.
He's been under their nose since the time that he came in.
Maybe
94 was the first time that Vossy started doing games.
Maybe in the Recruitment Whisperers in the next coming weeks, we may have a little bit of news on one Andrew Ronald Voss. Right.
That's his middle name. I'll be very impressed. The final thing I want to talk about as we wrap it up, we've got about 10 minutes left on the Zoom. And I only spent a couple of minutes on this, but there's a point I made on Twitter, not the one about the jersey that you didn't like, but Pacific Test, Cocksmith. Here we are talking about how great test matches are in the World Cup and the kind of football we're watching. And the old PVL made a new deal with the TV doyens, his masters, and we got rid of Pacific Tests.
Yep. Yeah, we did.
I know we've covered this off, but what really hit me was that apparently it's okay for clubs to let players play Origin. But we can't let them play one Pacific Test a year, can we? How dare we?
Sorry, mate. I'm still cracking up.
What happened?
You may have to edit this out, mate. Sorry. I'm still cracking up about Andrew Ronald Voss.
Has he got a 5-year plan? 5-year plan to take back the commentary box?
Anyway.
No, hang on.
Can't be wrong.
Andrew Voss. Middle name. Hang on. Andrew Voss. Oh, hang on. Don't tell me he has no middle name. He's one of those.
He changed it. He changed it from Ronald to nothing. Pacific Tests, mate. Pacific Tests over the last few years have been much maligned, I think, because we haven't, forget COVID, let's go back. I remember a couple of years ago going to a Tonga-Samoa game at Campbelltown that had probably had some of the best vibe of a game, like a great atmosphere. And apart from a few larrikins running onto the field, which is, just silly, but it was, really good test matches with big Sam Cassano playing, for Samoa, I believe.
Yep.
And ironically enough, that great Roosters player, Sam Moa, playing for Tonga. How can you be called Samoa, but you play for Tonga?
It is.
Anyway, I don't think his middle name was...
Jokes in the last 5 minutes from Cocksmith.
I don't think his middle name was Ronald.
No.
Anyway.
He's Victor.
Look,
Victor was his middle name, mate.
Sam Victor Moa. It's a good one. I like it.
I'll set him up again, everybody.
It doesn't take much. Anyway, I agree, mate. We need more Pacific Tests. I've said this for a long time, all right? And I'm going to stick with it. We need to see Pacific tests during origin periods. During that, if we must have 6 weeks to play 3 games of origin, we need Pacific tests as well. We need women's tests. We need a representative window in the middle of the year to get everybody's representative want and desire scratched, their little itch scratched.
It refreshes the season as well.
I agree.
It really does. This is what we're experiencing. This is why I made the point at the start of the pod and why we're finishing it with it, is that this is a breath of fresh air. And for us to have just slammed the door on the Pacific tests again is classic PVL. The game
hate that. You hate PVL, don't you?
He
come on.
No, I don't hate him.
You despise him.
No. He is perpetually disappointing. He really is. And I just go, with all this power and all this willingness to do things, which we talked about before, he's a doer. I just struggle to think of how he can be sitting there going, as he watches this World Cup, and I'm sure he's watching some of it, and goes, we don't need any more of this. It's crazy.
Yeah, look, I agree, mate. I agree, and it's very short-sighted as well for the growth of the game. And I'm not just, I know that that's a phrase that people like to coin when they're trying to be statesmen of the game, or when they're trying to sound like they're thinking about the future of the game. But it's true, having the Pacific Island nations and players be able to play for their country is something very special.
Yeah.
But no more special, I would say, than the Greek players playing for Greece, and the French players playing for France, and the Jamaicans even playing for Jamaica.
100%.
So, for the longest time, I thought to myself, and probably, quite naively thought, that the future of the game was state of origin. But the more that I stand back and look at it and see what's going on with this World Cup, the more I believe that state of origin actually could be the death of rugby league. Because as much as I enjoy origin, and I do, I want to start picking my team for New South Wales next week. And I want to chat with you about that in Recruitment Whisperers. But
Origin edition.
I'm very hey, you got something there. I'm very passionate about that, but I also I'm passionate about rugby league, and I'd hate to see the game go through a decline in popularity because we can't see past the end of our noses, and give probably 50% of the players and 50% of the fans what they want, which is more Pacific and more international test matches, more international games.
And the reason this is happening is because the Pacific tests don't rate. Okay? They don't rate compared to an NRL game on the same time. That's the whole reason that we've scrapped it. We've got to have NRL every weekend for the TV networks to be happy. Money. Test, bye. Anyway, that's World Cup. Week 1 wrap, Cocksmith.
Good wrap.
I've enjoyed it. What was his name again?
Andrew Ronald Voss. He could be at Channel 9, mate. He could be at Channel 9.
If
you
only.
Don't know. If Matty
Peter
Thompson listens to this,
I like Peter Pasoltis. I think he's actually.
I don't mind him either, but
he's a good number 2.
Unfortunately for Peter Pasoltis, his name is hard to say, so people will gravitate away from him. I know that sounds very xenophobic, but it will happen. But I honestly think that Andrew Voss has.
Should we start the rumor?
I think we did, and I think he's now.
What, that his middle name is Ronald?
That, and that he's working towards a re-entry at Channel 9. And if Matt Thompson hears this, he'll be curled up in the corner in a fetal position, because I think he knows how good Vossy is.
No. And just quietly, who isn't at Channel 9 anymore, and the whole reason that Vossy left in the first place? It's not Ray Warren.
Raymond Ronald Hadley.
Correct. See ya. Take us out, Cox. We'll speak to you guys next time. That's Rob Cox. I'm Warrick Nicolson. We're running out of Zoom time. That's why I'm wrapping it up. We'll speak to you next time on another Recruitment Whisperers or World Cup wrap. Thank us, Cocksmith.
Talk to you soon, mate. Perhaps, sir.
Ronald!
Not the Footy show.
And front on, the first contact was good from Albert. Katoa's in position for the field goal shot. Luke throws dummy, goes left, 12 metres out. Kafusi's knocked the ball down. Tokiaho then, they've made an absolute mess of this, the Tongans. They scramble an egg on Totally Wicked Stadium there. And then they get out of it with Kola and kept it alive for Katoa. It was Penasini with a pass. Then over his head, Tokiaho's got the ball. He's kicked to the end goal. And they have pulled out a try out of I think you know where. I don't know what to make of that. 73 passes, 44 of them hit the ground, and Tonga have come up with a try.
Yeah, Bossy, there's a bit of argy-bargy and back play happening here. Nothing too serious, I believe, but I've been on the end of one of those last play, shift, run, 50 kicks, 50 bounce passes. Man, it had everything. It was supposed to go to a field goal. Who knows what Luke was thinking? But take nothing away. That's the ability of this Tongan team to keep the ball alive.
Not the Footy show.
You've been sleeping over there?
Pepsi.